All right, welcome in. This is the first episode of On the Mark with Denmark. This is the introduction to my slappy sportscasting career. As you can see, I have Terry Norvelle with me. He was the guy that got me started from day one, back when he started college sports today with Sports Radio 930, and he's turned into a you say it's a show. I think it's a more of a babysitting with Shane Matthews and Steve Spurrier. Terry, how's it going?
Good. I like the name of the show, and I'm ready to rock with you, man. I think you're going to do big things here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So let's get rolling, man. We haven't talked in a while about the world of college football. A lot has changed with NIL and the transfer portal and so much craziness. So let's start. NIL, we waited forever for that July 1 in 2021. It finally came. It's been 2 weeks. Yeah. What's been your overall assessment? What's happened so far with the NIL?
I think there's been more action. I think there's been more deals than I thought right out of the gate. I thought it'd be a little slower. We're really all going to have to take a step back until we get a lot of data. It's going to take a year or two, I think, to get a lot of data to really see what's working, what's not working. But no, right out of the gate, I was a little surprised there were so many deals already cut. I'm for the NIL. You know my stance, though. I'm scared. I'm scared to death where this actually will go. On one side, I see, hey, it's great, and I support the players. On the other side, I see the Olympics. The Olympics, about 35 years ago, money got involved and amateurism got eliminated. The Olympics are terrible. The Olympics are a shell of what they are. They have been crushed. But yeah, we're going to need a couple of years, I think, to see some data. But my first overall, to get back to your first point, I was surprised there was as much deals. It was kind of like when those free agent deadlines at midnight, and all of a sudden there's deals at 12:01.
Yeah, it's kind of like the NFL where they say you can't do deals before midnight, and then somehow at 12:01 they have all these deals done.
They had deals done, yeah, exactly.
Whatever. So NIL has been one of the biggest things. The other issue, or not the issue, one of the biggest storylines has been the college football playoff expanding. It's expected to go to 12 teams here in the next couple of years. This was expected to happen. Expansion. I thought it was going to go to 8 first, but with COVID, teams need money. It was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Do you think this will make the sport better?
Yes, I do. I'm all for expansion. 4 is great because I lived in a world where there were nothing but a vote, and then there was just 2, and now there were 4. I'm with you too. I thought you as well. I thought 8 would be the next step. I'm okay with 12, and you can see what's happening as well. And I've already said the NIL scares me where college athletics and college football might go, or it may destroy it. We don't know, and I'm not being Chicken Little here. The other thing you can see where they're going to 12 really quick, it's no coincidence. The universities, they all think that there's a good chance, and what I'm going to bring up will kill college sports if it happens, I think. The universities think there's a good chance that the players are going to this time attempt to and be approved to unionize, to become union. And if you're a union, you're a professional hired employee. You're not a student anymore. You're an employee. They're going to say, we want you schools that are raking in all this football money. We want you to pay us a salary, all of us, a salary. We're going to form a union, and you're going to have to pay us. All kind of onion peels to come off of that. But the school's already saying, man, we got to find more deeper revenue sources because they're going to ask us to pay them in the future. I think that scares me. When you unionize, the universities then will say, wait a minute, if we're paying you, if you're an employee on our book, and that's what happens when you're a union, if you're a steelworker union member, at the end of the day, I don't pay for your college. You're a grown-up employee. At the end of the day, I don't feed you. At the end of the day, I don't house you, okay? So be careful what you wish for. You may get your unionization, you may get a salary, you may be paying for, you may have to go to hell with the dorms, they're gone. You got to, at 5 o'clock, figure out a place to live and go pay for it. Feed yourself, educate yourself. A lot of changes, Dylan. I don't know where it's going, but a lot of changes are coming.
Yeah, one of the biggest things with me with the playoff is you have to play these games in December. Mm-hmm. And the initial, I guess, So the biggest issue I had with not an issue, but the biggest concern I have with expanding to 12 teams is you have to play these games in December.
Yeah.
And the first proposal they put out was that the 5 through 8 get a home game, and then the 9 through 12 would be on the road. Yeah. And the 1 through 4 won't get a home game.
Yeah.
And Terry, you know more than anybody. In the month of December, number one, those hotels are all booked for graduation.
Sure.
Number two, that is so much money going to those cities' economies that teams 1 through 4, the best teams in the country, won't get. Yeah. There's a couple of critiques that I had. I guess from that proposal that they put out, what was the one thing that you would like to change that was sent out?
Well, I agree with what you're saying. And really the only way to keep a bunch of games and rounds from being in December is eliminate a game. And stay with me here before you think I'm crazy. If you go to 12 teams in the playoff, you're going to be raking in an extra $1 billion. And I'm not just throwing that out. You're going to be raking in an extra $1 billion is a lot of money. When you start saying eliminate games, the schools worry. They go, so what about the $1 million? Well, if you've got $1 billion, you can go, and I would trim this down to the big 65 or 70 schools. You could take the extra $1 billion, eliminate one game so you can keep the season from going deep. You with me there? Mm-hmm. Eliminate a regular season game. Give every school $1 million out of that billion right off the top. Say, here's $1 million, 70 schools, instead of 12 regular season games, back it down to 11. Here's payday for that, right? You'll have 70 million sitting around inside $1 billion. So I'd probably buy my way out of a game to keep the playoffs from going so deep into December. That's one thought I've got. And I do agree with you. It's not fair 1, 2, 3, and 4 won't get a home game. It's not fair. And college football is about home games. I think it's special to be at a home stadium, a big game. Now, you may adjust the divvying of the tickets instead of, 90-10 when a big game's played in Gainesville or Tuscaloosa. You may say, hey, because it's playoffs, it needs to be, 60-40 to make it a little fair. But no, you need to let those 1, 2, 3, and 4 deserve a home playoff game, for God's sake.
Yeah, you were talking about the big games and them being at home. There's no bigger game in the world of college football this year than week 1, Clemson, Georgia, being played on a neutral site. Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive into the SEC. It's been dominated by Alabama since 2008, 2009. And Florida got Georgia last year. Georgia seems to have their quarterback this year, JT Daniels, a couple of receivers. Pickens is out. Robertson left, goes to Auburn. How do you see the SEC as a whole this season?
Well, I for one, I don't have a lot of data to say why I feel this way. I just feel this way. I think Alabama takes a bit of a step back this year. I don't think Alabama's the big bad Bama. I love Texas A&M, and I'm going against one of my standards. I always think it's best to pick teams that have returning experience at quarterback. Texas A&M is going to go with Haynes King, a guy that's barely played any. One thing I feel good about Texas A&M. I love their whole team. I think they've got the 3 best skill position players. Spiller, the running back, Aeneas Smith, the little slot guy, and then they've got the sprinter, Devin Achane. He's the sprint guy, real quick guy. But the fact that Jimbo Fisher did not go out and bring in a portal quarterback, and some people say, well, maybe he did. Nobody wanted to show up. Jimbo Fisher could have attracted a portal quarterback or two. The fact that he sat on the quarterback position tells me he likes Haynes King. I like A&M. I like Florida. I like Florida a lot more than a lot of people like Florida. I think Florida's going to be really good. I think they're going to move the ball like crazy. They're going to do it a lot different. They're not going to have a 4,000-yard passer. They're going to have a 2,800-yard passer who also runs for about 600. And they're going to have 3 or 4 backs that run for a lot of yardage. I expect Florida to have 3 backs that one goes for 850, one goes for 6 1/4, one goes for 495. I love Florida. Georgia scares me. Georgia, I'm not sold on their offense. Their offensive line, I think, has been mediocre for 5 years, and they've gotten a pass. And their defense is worrisome. I think A&M is going to be really good, though. I like A&M.
So with me for Florida, Vegas has it at 9 wins. They have them going 9-3. Offenses obviously isn't the issue because you have Dan Mullen, you have Emory Jones.
Sure.
He seems like he's been there forever. He's been there since 2018. He's a seasoned veteran that hasn't played yet. Defensively, obviously it can't get worse than what it was last year. What do you think changes on the defensive side of the ball for Florida?
The two big tackles, again, Dan Mullen is a master at the portal. The two big tackles that come in, they're both the same. I think they're both 6'3", about 320. One from Penn State, one from Auburn, played a ton of football. I think they've got emerging stars. Zach Carter's going to have a huge year. Brenton Cox. I absolutely hated their safety play for 3 years. Florida's safety play was atrocious for 3 years. Donovan Steiner, God bless him, had no business starting in Power 5. If that's the best you got, that's the best you got. I think their overall talent's a lot better on defense. I think Florida will be much better on defense.
So looking at college football as a whole and out of the SEC for a moment, the biggest issue with college football within the past 10, 15 years has been college football has been too Southern. You look at USC has not been a power. Texas hasn't been a power. You had Colt McCoy for a little bit in 2009. Oklahoma has been good, but Oklahoma's always been a power. Do you think Steve Sarkisian can turn something around at Texas? And I mean, if he's the coach, it shouldn't take him that long, shouldn't it?
No, I think they've got talent there. I think you're on to something. Yeah, I think Sarkisian might be the guy. I think Sarkisian reminds me now. He's gone through much more serious issues, Sarkisian, than the guy I'm going to bring up, Lane Kiffin. But I think Sarkisian, a little bit like Kiffin, has matured. He's a different guy. He's a much more grown guy than he was 10 years ago. And, he had some good jobs. He was at Washington and all, but he wasn't ready. More from I think he can coach. I think he can move the football. I think Texas has talent there. I think Texas will be back really knocking heads with Oklahoma. I love the Pac-12 this year. I know people are saying this guy must be drinking. I love USC and I love Oregon. I think they have both stockpiled a ton of talent. Thibodeau may be the first pick in the draft from Oregon, the defensive end. I love Slovis, the quarterback at USC. Brew McCoy. I think those two teams, the Pac-12, I think makes a comeback. I've got now keep in mind they don't play each other in the regular season. USC does not play Oregon in the regular season. They could obviously meet up in the championship game. Huge game early. Boy, does the Pac-12 need Oregon to travel across country into Columbus and beat Ohio State, and they can. I love both of those teams. Now, Oregon, I don't know if people realize, they have stockpiled. Cristobal's got a bunch of five-star recruits. He's recruiting like crazy out there. I think the Pac-12 makes a rebound. You didn't ask me this, but my top four, I love Oklahoma. I love what Oklahoma's done the last 2 or 3 years on defense. They have changed their defense. They've changed their physicalness. They are a big, strong team. They knew they had to get there. Oklahoma went on and got Alex Grinch, the good defensive coordinator. I love Oklahoma. I've got Oklahoma 1, A&M 2. I've got Clemson 3, and a lot of that is scheduled. I don't necessarily think I love Clemson. I think they're going to be good. But, boy, they get by Georgia. It is clear sailing. They've got to fall asleep at the wheel. And I've got USC 4.
USC,
wow. That's my 4. Oklahoma, Texas A&M playing for the national title, Clemson, USC in it, and then that group of Georgia, Florida, Oregon. I love what Oklahoma did. What Oklahoma has done, I think like Lincoln Riley is a big-time coach. What he's done with his program, he looked at his program and he said, we don't need to score any more points. Oklahoma scores plenty of points. We've got to stop getting scored on. And he went out and got the young, well-respected Alex Grinch from he was out of Oregon. He's a young defensive coordinator everybody loves. He went out and got him a couple of years ago. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of Steve Spurrier in '95. Steve Spurrier looked at his program, and Coach Spurrier, we've talked about it. He said, I don't need to score any more on offense. I need to stop a few more points. And you know what he did?
Got Bob Stoops.
He went out and got a guy he didn't even know. He said he did some asking around, said, who's the best, hottest, up-and-coming, badass defensive coordinator? There's a guy co-coordinating at Iowa named Bob Stoops, football family. They went and got Bob Stoops. Year 1, he brought him in. They win a national title. Year 2, year 3, they're good. Stoops then has carved a niche, gets the Oklahoma job, and year 2 wins the title there. I love that Lincoln Riley looked at his program and said, we don't have to get better on defense. We got to get better and bigger and stronger. And that's what they did. You saw that Oklahoma defense against Florida. Those were big-ass Alabama, Ohio State-looking defensive players.
I'll give you 2 teams to look out for that you didn't mention. One in the Pac-12, one in the Big 12.
Okay, I love it.
Washington, number 1. They return a lot of talent. Number 2, Iowa State. Iowa State competed with a lot of those teams in the Big 12 last year, and I believe they only lost 2 starters on the entire team.
Iowa State brings everybody back. I think they're bringing Fred Hoiberg, the basketball guy. They're bringing everybody back. Purdy and Brees Hall and all those. They got like 3, 6, 7 tight ends. And they've already shown they can beat Oklahoma. They don't go out and win that championship game. They'll beat Oklahoma in the regular season, and then they'll lose the championship game. Well, those are good picks. Washington, shame on me, I don't know enough about Jimmy Lake. But word is he's a West Coast, he took over for Peterson when he stepped down a couple years ago. Word is he's a big-time coach out there at Washington. So Washington, and that would help the big Pac-12 as well. The Pac-12 has got to have USC, a dance partner, and maybe a second dance partner. They've got to get a couple teams playing good football.
All right, Terry, last question for me. So FSU has not had a pretty season the last, 5, 6 years, should say, since Willie Taggart came into town, and the last year Jimbo in 17. FSU, again, like Willie Taggart's first game, has that standalone game against Notre Dame September 5th. And I don't know if it's fair to say, but I'm not really counting last year just because of COVID and Norvell's taking over a team and the culture. We can go on and on about that. It just wasn't good. If he does not show like the team as a unit, I know it's kind of cliche. Yeah. Because, I mean, Terry, you look at that schedule for FSU, and there's not a lot of games where you look at the schedule and go, oh, there's a couple of wins. I mean, in all honesty, I think 7-5 is a good year for Florida State.
Oh, I think they'd throw a parade in Tallahassee. You're right. The talent level is so low. I mean, it's so low. It's going to take several years to get it back, if you can get it back. The other thing, I love what you hit on, and this goes to, I don't think you can blame Taggart on this necessarily, and I don't know if you can blame Mike Norvelle. Here is FSU in a low period of football in 40 years, basically. The lowest period, the last 5 or 6 years in 40 years. And lo and behold, every year they start out with a quality opener. And they lose the opener, and they're off to a terrible start, be it Virginia Tech on Labor Day night. Notre Dame's pretty damn good. They're probably going to get boxed around pretty good. Shame on them. Georgia Tech, new coach, beat the crap out of them last year. So you're FSU. You're struggling. You're getting beat pretty bad by the good team. And right out of the gate, you're getting hammered. And I think it might happen again. It's a tough start when you get hammered right out of the gate.
Yeah, Terry, that's all I got. Tell the folks how they can catch you on Facebook.
Yeah, man, we have a lot of fun. College Sports Today. We broadcast live every Monday, every Friday, 11 a.m. Just go to Facebook, YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. College Sports Today. It's on all the leading podcasts as well, and it's a lot of fun. The last several months, Shane Matthews is on the show, Coach Steve Spurrier is on the show, myself, and we bounce around a lot trying to give people time off and all. But we're about to hit it. Coaches in both days during football season. And it's go time, baby. It's go time.
It sure is. It's mid-July, and Terry, it's right around the corner, brother. Thanks for the time, man.
Thanks, Dylan. See you, buddy.